will be a day when I take down Hikaru, where I take down Danya, where I take down Magnus, and where I rise to the best online Blitz player in the world!
We're just 24 hours away from the most anticipated chess match of 2024, maybe even of the last 2 years. And in honour of the event, we have to go back to ground zero. I want to take you back to the 4th of September 2022. The sun rose on a crisp late summer's day in St. Louis over the chess club. Magnus Carlsen just out on his morning run. Luckily he had his father to douse him with water, keep him cool. Hans Niemann spent the morning raging, getting himself psyched up for the match, and Yasser Serwan getting in the zone for the commentary, leaping round the track and field like a gazelle. All the pieces were in motion, the scene was set. Magnus sits down with the white pieces, opens with d4. It's round 3 of the Sinquefield Cup, classical chess. They're over the board and something doesn't feel right to Magnus.
Mushrooms.
Hans goes knight f6. What a game follows. What drama kicks off. I'll be linking a video at the end in case you don't know all about that, or there'll be just a chess one if you want to stick with some chess. Now let's dive in here. Magnus explodes the board with c4. What a game this is. He walks straight into Hans Niemann's Nimzo Indian main line, and now these are the top moves for white here. But Magnus doesn't play any of them. He goes for g3, his favourite Catalan pawn structure, so named after a chess playing cat called Alan. Yes, regular viewers know that, but some of you will be new here. Do smash unsubscribe and dislike if you want more of that stuff in future. And now we see castles. The bishop fianchettas onto the long Milky Way, and Hans goes d5 for the high five. Yasser runs in, goes to give him one, but then does a na, just teasing. Magnus goes a3. He picks up that bishop pair, shatters the pawns in the process. Hans now takes on c4, gobbling a juicy c pawn, but opening the sniper. Very bold play, but fear not, he's got it all worked out. Magnus develops his pony with a brief nay and a nicker. Now we see this c pawn advancing, challenging the centre. Castles played, captures, and how does Magnus take back? Obviously with the queen. Loves himself a queenless endgame, or is it a middle game? No one knows. Many a chess player's been driven insane on such a question, but it doesn't come because knight c6 played, developing, and you can't take the queens off. You do have to win back your pawn here. It's the top way to play, and now look at that bishop stuck back home, crying its heart out. Hans hoping for an Oasis reunion. Don't worry, it's coming this year. e5 now played. It's no longer crying its heart out. Bishop g5 from Magnus, and this is the moment the game starts hotting up because h6 is played and Magnus goes wrong on move 12, but Hans apparently had this on his analysis board in the morning, so he was up against it. Now rumour has it Magnus's mind was elsewhere. He was reminiscing about their lovely time at the beach, he and Hans, back in Miami just a month or two earlier. Completely threw him. He's in a daze. He goes rook fd1, but he should have taken the knight directly. What he was trying to do is pick up a tempo. Now with queen e7, then you take the knight, queen recaptures, aha, you've gained a tempo. But doesn't have to be played. You can play this excellent move of bishop e6, counter shot on the white queen. Magnus in trouble. He now spends some time. He's muttering, talking to his pieces in a kind of special chess language that only some grandmasters have. It's a bit like parcel tongue, but in the chess setting. He's trying to figure the way to go. He finally comes up with this. Is the best move. We see bishop takes here. Magnus takes rookie in the corner. This one recaptures, and here's the problem. e2's under fire from Hans's bishop. You've therefore got to give up your bishop here because it's also attacked. Excuse me. And now after pawn recaptures, you've given your bishop pair, you've got to go king f1 or something similar to cover the pawn, and Hans hits the open file first. King e1 preparing to challenge knight a5. We're going to see why black is a bit better, because after rook d1 challenging, excellent move now, excellent understanding. We don't see the rooks exchanged, allowing the king to march in, cover the weakened pawns. No, rook c8 played, targeting that weakened, backwards, miserable pawn that needs to get itself off the board. And this is the trouble for Magnus. Knight d2, bishop e6, his pawns are under fire, isolated and weak, and although Hans's king position is compromised, it's easier to defend, right? So what does Magnus do here? He just jettisons a pawn. We're not going to go down a whole rabbit hole of could he gone knight e4, rook c1. Yeah, all playable, right? But there were problems with every variation. So Magnus wants to go active, pushes that c pawn. Now we see captures. Knight takes, rook takes, meaning that the knight is still covering b7, and now Magnus gets himself a check. This is his idea. He activates, centralizes his sniper, hits the rook, hits f7, and that's why rook c7 to keep an keep an eye on this convergence. Magnus goes rook a8, probing, but a6, no dramas. Rook b8 back, keeping that knight honest to the b pawn. We now see f5, and it's great expansion from Hans. Gives the king some breathing room. These ones are marching. So Magnus comes round behind, putting on the pressure. e4 played, and now f3, the top move of Stock Shark, but not selected. Magnus goes for this tricky dicky move, g4, trying to break those ones up, and now we see rook c5. It is the best response. You kick back this bishop, takes on g4, now technically playable. Good line according to the engine, but we're rattling through, we're not messing about. Hans now goes wrong here, doesn't play it, doesn't go rook c2, second top move. He plays knight c4, given the miss, as you can see. Miss or blunder, I get mixed up with what they all are, but this isn't a good move because Magnus technically can take, but this isn't really easy to see. You know, Stock Plankton sees all, you win this one, but the problem of course is that black now has two connected passes on the queen side. White's got kingside counterplay, but that's really not easy to see that it should be good for white, or holdable maybe, not good for white, because it's difficult. There's two connected passes, so Magnus doesn't go for it, doesn't chop. He plays a4 instead. The pawn was attacked, and now how about this? Hans completely forgets which way his pieces are supposed to move, or does he? That's a defensive octopus that Stocktopus can be proud of. Look at how it just looms over the position. Magnus comes here with the rook. What was better? Rook d8 apparently, but okay, this was played. Keeping an eye on this pawn here, and now f takes on g4. Rook d7 hits that knight, and now how about this? For an absolutely overpowered move, Hans looks up, stares deep into the depths of Magnus's hair, realizes that his own throw is far superior, draws inspiration and plays pawn to e3. What a move. If you now capture, then there's a checkmate coming on the board, or is there? No, there isn't. The rook can block, but there are new problems. You can either take first, or you can do this way. All roads lead to Rome. The pawn goes through, or you lose a rook, you know, however you choose to play it. That's the problem. This is why you can't touch the knight. So pawn takes on e3 played. Shattered, doubled, weakened. The knight hops in. What a monster. Cuts the king. Check and not mate, but devilish stuff threatened. You know, you could then take a knight c3 check, and you pick up here. Problems. So king f1 played, rook c1 check anyway, king g2, rook c2 back, and it's a double whammy. Now Magnus does get counterplay. He likes that one. Now he crashes through, but Hans takes here. Don't go king f1, then you're running into this, and you're actually losing a piece. So Magnus goes king g1. He didn't come down the liffey on the last lily. We now see rook e1 check, king g2, another check, king g1, and Magnus, he's buzzing at this point. Are we about to see a threefold repetition, almost as legendary as this one?
And there it is.
And there it is.
Wow. Well, we just said the same exact thing.
We just say the same exact.
Did we just do that 3 times? Seriously?
You can't spell chess without Hess, but no, we're not going to see it because Hans goes king f6. He smells blood. He's circling. He's the shark in the water. Bishop d5 from Magnus, double hit, but rook d2 saves the day. If the bishop moves, then you munch on the rook. So Magnus goes check. King g6, still keeping that bishop honest because otherwise the rook drops off the board. And now Magnus makes a big mistake. Rook f4 apparently best, or rook e7, but rook d7 is played here, and it allows Hans to find this excellent maneuver, a tour de horse with knight g5, because yes, he leaves a rook hanging. Magnus does go bishop f7 check. He didn't have so many good options to take advantage of this. King f5 played, king f6 preferred by stock plankton, but this also a good move. But here's the point: after Magnus takes on d2, Hans picks up his knight and fork and hits this square, chowing down on Magnus's rook. This is how he regains the material. Awesome foresight. And after a5, clamping on the queenside pawns, preparing to eat with the bishop, Hans goes king e5, covering that square from the sniper to centralize. King g3 prepares to hit that pawn. What does Hans do? Checks from f1 here. If the king takes, then this is how the line can go. Taking here best to give the outside passer. This is something along the lines of how the game can proceed, and the problem is this could drop one day. The king's super active, minding this one. This is an outside runner. It's just a good end game. Black a pawn ahead. So we didn't see takes, although technically the best move. Magnus goes for this one. This one drops anyway, so now he's just in a similar position but a pawn down. He goes e4 looking for bishop d5 here, and so takes his played, but now bishop e6. This was the point. You distracted the king, gained access to a square. King f4 played. Bishop c8 prepares to chow down, but here comes Hans, rotating the knight around, and he's just in time. Picking up this pawn from the dark square. Magnus does now box in that pony. Love when a bishop stands 2 squares in front, but fear not, Hans fans. h5 on the board. Bishop f7, h4. The bishop recentralizes. But after king e5, Magnus Carlsen proffers his hand and resigns the game.
Chess speaks for itself.
Is it something special doing this against Magnus, Hans?
Because you're forcing the bishop to choose a diagonal, right? Wherever it goes, then the knight can come out the box. It's going to spin round, you know, whatever, wherever it goes. This is too much. It's just going to be game over. One of the pawns will promote. Bishop will have to die. So this was the final position. Incredible win for Hans Niemann. Kicked off the entire scandal that followed. There's a video on screen if you want to see a documentary around that, or if you just want some good old-fashioned chess, I'll link a second one as well. Really hope to see you on Friday for these amazing games coming, plus Ali Reza Hikaru, and thanks a lot for watching. Cheers.